Yo, what's going on, guys? Winter Kills here, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Saturday Night Locals. Here we are in top 4, our 6th round, technically, of this Locals Mega Tournament. I am piloting the Speedroid Kashtira deck. If you want to see the profile for it, if you want to see the previous round, should be links to those videos up in the top right. And last round we played against Rescue Ace, and this round, as the title may suggest, we are playing against Rescue Ace again. It's the third Rescue Ace deck I've had to play against this entire tournament. And here I only prospe for 3 because I already opened a fair amount of Speedroid cards, and I figured I'd want to be able to dig into some cash cards, and, you know, I figured I don't need to burn that many resources in my extra deck, so I felt fine with just going for 3. It's less likely to get ashed, and I'm very likely to at least find, what's it called, find a cash card to help complement the engine. It's just unfortunate that the card I happened to take was Planet, and then my opponent also happened to have Droll and Lockbird, and the hand is kind of weak, which is unfortunate, so I'm not sure why I didn't Duke. Oh, I see why not I was gonna say I'm not sure why I didn't take a Tomahawk, but it makes sense now because I didn't want to win lock myself. Because I think, as you guys saw, I used the Pot of Prosperity to banish Win, which, like, the Prosperity is something I'm still, like, getting reacclimated with after starting to play this deck again. The Prosperities can be very difficult sometimes, and sometimes, whether you banish Win or not can be a tough choice, because you can go into Win. Like, I could have gone into Win there and then, like, tagged, or, like, Win brought out the Droll and then gone into Doom Eagle, potentially, right? So it just kind of leaves you open with more options under Droll and Lockbird, having Win in the extra deck, but it is what it is. My opponent leads with the Diabellstar, setting off Emergency, and then Diabellstar is going to go ahead and set the original Sinful Spoils. I believe I have Imperm and Enemy Controller, and I've got Planet in hand for follow-up. I've got a Duke engraved too, which isn't terrible. Here my opponent goes early battle phase, and Econ was coming in clutch all day to do just this. Just go Enemy Controller, switch monsters to defense that people tried to go into battle phase early with Diabellstar, pretty much specifically, and try to run over Fenrir's at 2400, try to run over SP Little Knights. So essentially I've just forced him to, use his battle phase. So I've got another turn basically guaranteed here, and they're going to go ahead and activate the original Sinful Spoil. I don't really have a response to that, so I've just let that go through. No big deal there. If I had Ash, I'd probably Ash that, honestly. But they're going to go ahead and summon out the Fire Hydrant, which I hope that I Imperm this, just because. Okay, I chain SP Little Knight. It's been a little while, also, I should add, since this was recorded. Yeah, it's what, January 8th now, so it's been about a week or so since this was recorded, so I can't remember exactly how all my stuff played out, which is actually kind of good to forget a little bit, so I can kind of react to my plays with a updated mindset. And my opponent goes ahead and fires off Emergency here to dodge the SP, which, I mean, you could argue that knowing that they're now doing this, it's like they either really need this Hydrant on field, or they just want it in their graveyard to be able to make a play happen. So that's why they're chaining the Emergency. So maybe firing the Imperm there could have been good, just to turn off the Hydrant. But now that I see he's used the Emergency, which is their best way to end up dodging Imperm and stuff on Turbulence, I figured I would now just hold the Imperm, knowing that I pretty much have a free shot at Imperming the Turbulence, but also have to. The similar thing happened. I played the same player playing Rescue Ace a few weeks back in a different tournament while I was playing Infernoble, and I thought I was chilling with Imperm engraved to hit the Turbulence, but they just have so many ways to, like, dodge the Imperm, or, like, suss out an Imperm like he's going to do right now, linking into Link Reader. Like, oh great, here comes SP Little Knight, and Little Knight is going to go ahead and hit my back row, which is just going to basically allow the Turbulence to resolve, which is super unfortunate. So I probably should have just impermed the fire hydrant. Keeps him off searching airlifter, and airlifter doesn't get him the rescue. So, and then he probably still doesn't have turbulence at that point. And now we're going to see him summon the turbulence. And turbulence is going to go ahead and set 4. Extinguish, contain, probably emergency, and either rescue or alert. Probably alert would be my guess. And so they're going to go ahead and shuffle up all of the 4 cards and set them. And now things aren't looking so great. I think it's just that, like, for as long as Rescue Ace has been around, I'm still, like, I still don't have a lot of practice against the deck. Because I haven't really been grinding Yu-Gi-Oh! Like I have in the past. I just kind of, like, paying attention to certain interactions here and there. And really only playing on locals and, you know, on stream occasionally. But, yeah, maybe if I was a little bit more knowledgeable in this matchup and knowing what it means when X card is used at this point, or, you know, just things like that, little nuances to better understand the matchup, and, you know, maybe knowing that imperming that hydrant right there would have been the play. Because my brain is so tunnel visioned on, like, imperm turbulence, that, like, I just kind of blow off every other interaction to imperm because I'm thinking to myself I should hold it for the turbulence, if that makes any sense. So I draw a Tetherwolf for turn, which is pretty solid, because the planet on its own is not that great follow-up, considering that the SP Little Knight is still chilling on my board. So I go ahead and grab a Unicorn here. I get Drolled again, which I was like, you're just killing me with the Droll and Lockbirds here. I should probably just chain SP Little Knight to that. Yeah, I 100% should have chained SP Little Knight to that. Just to get it off the field. So I just go Battle Phase and attack over his Little Knight because I'm gaining 200 because he has a fire and a dark. And again, I've also just, like, missed my window to use SP because he now knows I have Unicorn in hand, which means if he gets rid of the SP, I can freely summon it, which gives me another option. So I'm curious to see if he actually ends up using something on the SP. Because I think looking back, because you can chain SP to any card or effect, so I could have, like, chained it and, like, banished his Turbulence and my SP. He can chain his SP there if he wants to. And then I can, like, summon Unicorn, normal summon Tetherwolf, effect, summon a token. But even if he chains, like, SP to the Tetherwolf effect, banishing itself and the Tetherwolf, then I guess that's where I'd want to force his SP with my SP, so I don't have that interruption waiting. So I just chain SP to his Droll, banish the SP, and then special summon the Unicorn, normal summon Tetherwolf. Right. Maybe there's a line. Maybe there's a Zeus line, possibly, right? That's kind of what I'm thinking about doing, is, like, had I maybe set it up better, I could have had that really strong Zeus line where, like, you know, Dragosax attacking into the back row with the tokens up, kind of protected. And then just establishing a Zeus probably just 100% actually gets me back into the game. But unfortunately, as per typical Winter Kills fashion, crumbling under the pressure. Obviously, I'm joking a little bit, but I do tend to not do super great under pressure, even though, again, it's really top 4 of a glorified locals. But it just be how it is, right? So he's going to get Airlifter, and Airlifter's going to grab HQ. And right now, I'm just, like, waiting to see whether or not my opponent can actually OTK me this turn. Are they going to be able to give me another turn? I'm thinking in my head, probably not. But it's top 4. I might as well wait and see, you know, how this plays out. Also, one thing I don't have memorized is what the difference between Extinguish and Contain. Extinguish says if you control Rescue Ace monster, target one effect monster your opponent controls, destroy it. Then, if you currently control Hydrant, can't. So Extinguish is the pop, and Contain is the negate and can't attack. Okay. Makes sense. Yeah, I'm trying to think of an easy way to memorize between Extinguish and Contain. Like, we're extinguishing, you extinguish a fire, you put it out completely. It's gone. So you pop the monster, you get rid of it completely. Contain it means you have it under control, which means you're just negating its effects. It's still there, but it's under control. It's got no effects. It can't attack. Boom. Easy. Easy. Now I'll never forget, I'm sure. But my opponent, honestly, taking their sweet time and to end the game. They know one card in my hand, and there's no way SP Little Knight can be that intrusive to their combos here. So they go ahead and spec Preventer, banishing Hydrant, and I think here I chain Little Knight, targeting itself and Turbulence. Not really sure my logic behind this here, but I wonder if he actually ends up just using like the Contain. Yeah, to Contain, just go ahead and negate it, or Extinguish rather, to go ahead and extinguish it. Pop it. If it can't banish itself and the other monster doesn't actually resolve, so that's how that plays out. Yeah, let's get on to game 2, where we have an interesting opening hand in of Unicorn, Tekatomborg, Ash, Birth, and Prosperity. I want to talk about something really interesting here, an interesting dynamic, really more so for Speedroid Kashtira. Now, this already is a wild start. Like, I already have Speedroid plus cash cards, so I didn't feel the need to Prosby right away. Sure, I could have done it, maybe to try to find a little bit more solid, more familiar opening, but that definitely plays a lot harder into Droll. So what I do is I special summon Unicorn and normal summon Tekatomborg so that I may use one later on. Little did I know that using the Tekatomborg that early, well, not even using Tekatomborg, it was just using my normal summon so early is actually what ends up doing me in here. And that's one of the toughest things about this deck, is trying to figure out when, like, there's obviously so many other things, but like this is little simple nuances within the deck, and this is one of those things. Whether or not like you have a hand of just Unicorn and Tekatomborg, right? Do you normal summon the Tekatomborg so that if you find your way into another one later on, whether you're resolving Terror Top, etc., you can use it again and special summon it and tag out again, right? Or should you just special summon it and save your normal summon? And as I drop my Little Knight there, it turns out, as I decide very diligently on what to banish here. No, I should get rid of Dawn Dragster if I didn't already. I hope Dawn Dragster's not hanging around in my extra deck, because I'm wind locked already. But anyways, we reveal Terror Top, Imperm, Talons, Fenrir, Unicorn, and Planet. So what I should have done here, had I not, let me just paint the scenario. Let's say I don't normal summon Tekatomborg, because my issue right now is I have no way to rubber band shooter if I didn't reveal a tuner off of, a Speedroid tuner off of the Prosby, and I don't. So now I'm like, okay, well, what do? Do I take the Planet and grab Scareclaw Cash, right? Banish Unicorn. Wait, there's a play. Oh, wait, no, I'm windlocked, so there's no play where I grab Scareclaw Kashtira here. The play would have been to have just special summon Tekatomborg and just cut your losses there. Tag into the Duke, make the early Baron, and then here you could take the Unicorn, again, to play around Droll as much as possible, considering I already have Birth, and then I could just go ahead and activate Birth, normal summon Unicorn, Birth, bring back the Unicorn Engrave, make Dracosack effect, detach 2 tokens, or detach summon 2 tokens, and then link off the Dracosack and a token into Rubber Band Shooter, banish a 7, reveal Duke and Piper, and just go from there. Yeah, I mean, that's just should have what I done. That is what I should have done, I should say. And now that I played it out the way I did, this is my end board here. It's just Unicorn, Baron, Imperm, which I decided to take the Imperm just because like it's extra non-engine, and like why not just take it at this point if all the other cards I'm taking really don't help me in any way, shape, or form. The other like downside I have to worry about right now is that I don't have any follow-up really. I just have a bunch of interruption, which I mean, it's not no follow-up because the end board itself is just technically has follow-up built into it. Like Baron's technically follow-up, Birth is technically follow-up, right? You know, there's always some semblance of follow-up built in. It's just that follow-up is usually desired by the opponent to be removed just because how good it is. My opponent does Prosby for 6 as their first play. I decide to Ash that. I'm like, if they're leading with Prosby for 6, I probably should Ash it. It's one hell of a card. So the Ash does fully resolve here. I'm like, please don't have Thrust. Please don't have Thrust. Please don't have Thrust. Now they activate Emergency, which... This is interesting. It summons and they have to tribute from field or hand, so I'm just clarifying on what the card actually does. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to fire off the negate here and see what happens. I'm going to keep him off Fire Hydrant. I'm going to keep him off everything as early as I can. And my opponent is thinking now in response, which I knew from seeing this player play in previous rounds that they were on Droplet. I had heard them mention Droplet. So I was like, alright, he's probably got Droplet here. And if he does Droplet, you know, he's at least sending 1. And I'm not really sure what the decision is to be made here, because it's like, I've already used Baron Negate. He literally knows everything I have, so I don't know why you don't just go Droplets, just send off the emergency anyways, and just save the rest of your cards in hand, unless you want to use this as a potential point to get to discard a random card out of the hand, like a, not a random card, but like a rescue ace out of the hand, I guess. But maybe they were debating on going for 2 there, actually, to negate both the Baron and the Unicorn. Although I really don't know how much the Unicorn banish will hurt them at this current point. So it looks like they decide to just go ahead and get rid of 1. And obviously the emergency is still going to resolve here. And now another little piece of interesting information coming up here. And thanks to my opponent also for letting me know this, because it's just kind of like an eye-opener. Which is a good thing, right? In the moment, I was like, damn, that kind of sucks to know. But, you know, they're going to go ahead and resolve emergency there, and they're going to go ahead and send off a fire engine from hand, and then Birth is going to resolve here, getting rid of those 3, except for the Prosperity. They do get banished face down. And now he just has 2 cards left in hand, plus a Fire Hydrant. And here, Fire Hydrant effect, and I'm thinking, right, you know, I can just let him get Turbulence, and yeah, I can just imperm it, right? But 2 things. Now I've just let him get the opportunity to yeah, and on resolution, gonna go ahead and use the Unicorn, which I go ahead and get rid of the SP because that's a really solid card. And now he can't, like, you know, make SP to banish the Imperm before summoning out the Turbulence. And now he's normal summoning the Airlifter. Airlifter's going to go ahead and search. And honestly, you could say at this point, like, I'm still kind of in the driver's seat for the most part. But my Baron is halved. And I've now just let him get access to Turbulence, which is just rough all around, because it's a 3k body that is going to force me to have to use Imperm on it. It's going to be able to run over Baron, and then it's also going to put pressure on me to be able to stop it again next turn, because it's not just like an on-summon effect, right? It's just every turn you can use it that it's on the field. So they're going to go ahead and use the alert here to go ahead and search. And they know I have the Imperm, obviously, so they're just debating on what exactly they want to go for. But the other piece of interesting information I wanted to drop here is my opponent said that had I actually Impermed the Fire Hydrant, that I would have won the game. Because they were basically saying, like, I had to make you believe that I had other names in hand, otherwise, you know, he just didn't have anything else to do. At least that's what they told me. And looking back, I was like, damn. Just, it's that one small little decision that had I made would have put me in such a better spot. Because at the time I thought, like, you know what? Like, he's already used Droplet. He's already used Emergency. I've got rid of his SP. Like, he's just gonna run into Imperm on Turbulence. And again, it was just my mindset of being like Imperm Turbulence, Imperm Turbulence, Imperm Turbulence that kind of is just clouding my thought process. And he links into Hida, and I think he's still trying to force out the Imperm here. And here I was like, I didn't see anything in the extra deck that's like gonna be able to threaten my Imperm set, so I just let that go through. And the other bad thing about now letting him get the Hida on field, which is a direct result of me not Imperming the Hydrant, because that gave him Airlifter, which gave him the extra body, because now he has 2 monsters on field that can attack over both of my monsters. Hida can get over the Baron, which is at 1500 because it was hit with Droplet, and Turbulence can get over the Unicorn. Again, it doesn't seem like that big of a deal when you're considering, though, I am top decking right now, and all I have is Birth and a Turbulence I need to deal with next turn, or be able to have something to deal with it. It kind of puts me in a rough spot, right? Went from being in a pretty decent spot to now being in a pretty rough spot with a pretty, like, you know, not the greatest opening in Speed Cash. So they go Battle Phase, they attack over, and then I take, would be like 350. But Prosperity's activate, oh, Prosperity was negated with Ash, so I still take half damage here. So it's not the end of the world. And yeah, I was like, yeah, I'm at 75. Not often do you see that. And again, I'm really glad I got rid of the SP Little Knight. Was that Dawn Dragster? Did I really leave that Dawn Dragster in there? Or no, that was my banish pile. Okay. I was gonna say, there's no way I don't banish Dawn Dragster. Whether I banish the Draco Sack or not is correct. That's another story. I don't think that was necessarily correct. But my opponent just taking their time here. I'm like, I need to see what my draw is so I can see whether I just lose right now. And I draw Anti-Spell, which honestly could not have come at a worse time. Very, very unfortunate. Now, I've seen some people say that, like, oh, and I'm going on a tangent, that doesn't really matter that much, but it's like, oh, Speedroid regular has more, like, has better, like, follow-up, like, better recovery, I guess, than, like, Speed Cash, which I would agree on a few points. Like, yeah, you do have speed recovery, yeah, you have Hound, all these things. Like, Speed Cash definitely can have plenty of recovery. It's just, it comes down to, like, how well you play the deck, is how well your recovery is. You know, I'm not saying, like, oh, this is the most difficult deck to play on the planet. I'm not trying to say that. It just ends up being true. Like, I played that handout pretty poorly. Started out with something as simple as normal summoning versus special summoning Tekatomborg, which left so much on the table. You need a lot of foresight when you play this deck, which again does make things a little bit more difficult. Again, not the most difficult deck in the world, but right, it is what it is. You kind of got to work a little bit harder. So I flip up the Anti-Spell here in the draw phase to keep him off of, you know, Prosperity, anything really that isn't a quick play, and luckily he doesn't have anything. Probably doesn't have any spells in hand, honestly. But Hida is still on board. I obviously didn't want to run over Hida because that just gives him a Hydrant. And he goes, effect. I go, let me see your extra deck. And there really isn't much left at this point to try to get rid of. Also, had to put a new battery in, and we skip forward in time here. Sorry for that jarring experience. But yeah, my opponent crashes Hida and then attacks over Unicorn with the Turbulence, and then tries to go Hida effect, and he's like, oh, whoops, forgot. So yeah, he missed out on a search there, but I think he's in a winning position. Since Turbulence did manage to resolve that turn, no one is surprised, because again, I didn't have a way to put up to stop the turn. I draw Ash for turn, and I mean, Birth is still chilling on the field, so I go Birth, bring back Unicorn, and then I'm like, normal summon Ash, question mark? Are you going to let me synchro into Baron? Spoiler alert, he's not going to. As he'll probably just flip up the, just double checking everything in the grave, seeing if I actually do have any semblance of follow-up after the fact. And yeah, just gonna go ahead and use Extinguish there. popping the unicorn, and that is pretty much it. I passed turn because, again, like, I probably just should have scooped. But, yeah, content's content, right? I don't know. But, yeah, I mean, moral of the story is, like, mainly just for the Speedroid Kashtira deck, is just foresight is such a big thing with the deck. And also, again, just kind of showing my infamiliarity with the actual Rescue Ace matchup, which is something I very clearly need to work on going forward as I continue to play this deck, and really any deck in general, just learning this deck and how it works going forward, because it's gonna continue to be popular. It's not going anywhere anytime soon, and it's gonna continue to plague the top tables at my locals and events all throughout the world, I'm sure. So it links into, uses the link Rebo there to send off the Hydrant, and then links into Dark for the extra bit of damage that he needs to be able to go for game there over the 0 attack Ash Blossom. And yeah, Hydrants are Preventers at 28, and that ends up just being the match right there. He had Nib in hand, and I think Droll. Yeah, I mean, this one hurts to watch as the Speed Cash run, Reign of Terror, comes to an end at this tournament. But we'll be back better than ever for the next one. And last but not least, a big shout out goes to our current Divine level channel members, who are Pony Stark, Cadillacs, Green, Mizfid, H8 Cyber, and Robin's Assistant. Thank you guys so much as always for extremely kind and very, very generous support of the channel.